do be cautious. All right, people will say, an old fart like you, you don't have too many people to hug and kiss. Well, how do you know? But perhaps, yes, because over the years, getting to this age, I've lost most of my family, and those that are remaining are elsewhere. So hugging and kissing in that sense is not something that is very close to my heart. Although I have some very good friends that I like to hug and say hello to and give a little buss on the cheek. But I'm going to make sure that I don't even do that, not for a little while. I'd much rather have them around for another 5 or 10 years, which, who knows, I might last that long, than actually be the cause, because I get over exuberant, of killing them off with this virus. Do be cautious. Do be cautious. Great that we can somehow get back to semi-normalcy. That's going to take some time. So be sensible. Don't get carried away. Right. Computers. So, I am really very angry with the government for the way that it's actually decided who it will help and who it won't through this lockdown. And it hasn't helped me at all. Not at all. In fact, what really has upset me is the computers, the banks and all sorts of other organisations, the utility companies, haven't bothered to tell their computer that they've promised to be helpful, to be kind, to be decent. So the old letters still come through the door, is you're a day late with your payment, and this is what we're going to do, we're going to take you to court, and so on and so forth. And that's what the computer says, and yet somebody human puts an ad in the paper and says, we are very, very responsive to the problems that lockdown and the current crisis will have on your life, and so on and so forth. Well, will somebody please tell the computer? Because nobody is listening from the outside, and apparently nobody is listening inside. Nobody has thought to tell the computer that churns these things out quite impersonally, day in, day out. And now I'm actually, in a minute or two, I'm going to try and play a relatively long track, because hopefully this morning I'm going to be joined by somebody who is going to be my co-presenter. And now my daughter is calling me on the other phone. Oh dear. My co-presenter, Eni Verrall. Now, Eni is a very, very talented lady, and I'm going to try and get hold of her in a minute. But I'll do it while I'm playing a record for you, or a track, or whatever we call them now. She's a very talented lady. She is one of the main presenters and program producers on Mirador Television, and she is going to join me, not every morning, but some mornings, to co-produce co-present the last half hour of our show, which goes from 7:30, it's now 7:33, to 8 o'clock. I'm sort of two minds about it, because she's got a cherubic face. Oh my goodness me, butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. It would not melt in her mouth. But you know what? The funny thing is, she bullies me all the time. She keeps me on my toes. She points out all the things. Even when I write something to her, she'll say, you've got the apostrophe in the wrong place. Yeah, who wants that as a co-presenter? But anyway, I promised, so we're going to give it a try. So what I will do is, let's see, there's something here called kick the can. So while we're kicking the can, let's see if we can get hold of Eni and bring her in. still haven't made contact. So hopefully, that was called Kick the Can, by the way. We used to play that as a very young. As I recall, what happened was that somebody kicked the can, and then others had to go and look at it. And in the time that they got to retrieve the can, you had to hide. So the further you kicked the can, the more longer you had to hide from your pals, and you had a very good time. Anyway, Eni is struggling, I think, to get in touch with us, because she did send a little message, but for the life of me, oh, she says, I don't know how to get in touch with you, so I could possibly. I would love it if she joined us this morning. It would be really good. Forgive me if I stutter and splutter a little. I can tell you it's 7:37 on Monday morning, June the 1st. And we're experimenting this week not only with Rouser Radio, but also with our Mirador television output. We launched Mirador about 3 years ago in response to a Harvard University survey and report which said that as local media shrinks, so local governance gets worse, and the taxes, in other words the council tax, gets higher. And nothing could be further from the truth in our little town in Lewes. And that's what spurred us to start it, to try and be a watchdog on local media. But all we got at that particular stage was really a little bit of messaging that we could send out on Facebook and a bit on YouTube. Then things changed dramatically. Suddenly we could go live on YouTube. Suddenly we could go live on Facebook. And here we go. And let's see. Is that Mrs. Verrall? It is indeed. Well, now, let's see if we can set you up here. Well, I'm going to hold it a bit so that you can say good morning to all the people out there listening to Rouser Radio. Good morning, Eni.
Good morning.
Let's again, a big good morning.
Good morning.
Well, there we are. You see, now, Eni is, as I said, look, well, you can't see her, but you can on Mirador television. Angelic she looks angelic. She behaves in an impeccable fashion until she gets around me, and then bully. Why do you bully me, Eni? Why do you pick on me?
What's your words?
There she goes. Doesn't like the truth, you see. Now, my dear.
I haven't had my coffee yet, so watch out.
Oh, well, now, I know all about people who haven't had their coffee, or, for that matter, their fag. And we won't talk about smoking, but, there are some things that become ritual in the morning, and you've got a ritual, haven't you?
Yes, I usually wake up and then have my coffee and check on you, make sure you're right.
Make sure that I'm all right. I've been up 2 hours ahead of her, for God's sake. Now,
make sure you're working.
Now I can see, which you can't, that she is wearing a T-shirt that says "the best mum in the world." You've got two delightful children, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've got two daughters who are lovely. How the hell they share a mother like that, I have no idea.
No.
Oh, now, she says. Now. See, I'm getting my kicks in before she starts, because otherwise I'll be in dead trouble. So what are the plans today? What is happening with lockdown, Eni? Because I keep on seeing that children may go back to school today, or they may not. What's the latest situation on that?
I think there will be many parents who won't send their children in because of the current situation. So I also think that many schools are not properly prepared anyway. So
you don't think there'll be a mass return today?
Yeah, I don't think many schools will go ahead with that. It depends on the size of the school as well. So.
Now, I was just cautioning people that be careful who you hug and kiss and so on and so forth, even though they've actually relaxed a little bit of lockdown. But actually, as a mother throughout this thing, you've been naturally cautious, haven't you?
Yes. I'm trying to follow what I think is best. I think let's wait for a little bit longer.
Well, I agree with you. It's the only time that I've ever agreed with you, or you've agreed with me. Something nasty must be happening this morning. It's June the 1st. Is there anything special about June the 1st that makes people be nice to one another? Ha ha! Perhaps there is.
It's Children's Day today.
Oh, is it?
Maybe not in England, but in other parts of the country, in the world, it is.
And what happens on Children's Day?
Well, usually children are celebrated.
How? Does that mean they all get extra sweets or something?
I'm not sure how they do it, to be honest. I've always lived in this country when it was Children's Day.
And we don't get excited about it.
Well, not that I know of.
Now, you're always telling me that I'm childish. Does that mean I get extra sweets today?
No.
Why not?
You're not allowed.
Oh, dear, 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 dear. You see the rules that I have to live by, just because of this young lady who is, believe me, catch her on Mirador television. I mean, not only is she a very, very good broadcaster, but she manages to look so angelic you wouldn't think that she can say anything nasty to anybody, except me.
Mm-hmm. Depends on your attitude.
It's just, I don't, I was talking about Jack de Manio. She doesn't remember him either. Well, nor should she. I mean, how old are you now? 20, 22, 23?
Just gone
19. She's not rising to the bait this morning. You wait. There'll be some boxing matches. I keep on being told as an 80-year-old what to do by a 36, 37-year-old. And do you think that she can back down and say that possibly youngsters are maybe wrong? Not in the least. They're so sure they're right. Isn't that right?
Just like you are so sure you are right.
But I am right.
Uh-huh. Of course.
Right. Let's. There's one here that's called a spring fling. So let's have a spring fling for a moment, and we'll come back to you. Eni will stay with me until. Is it all right to stay until 8 o'clock this morning, Eni?
I don't know. Will you behave?
I don't know. Oh, that's asking a lot. Me behave.
Well.
Well, let everybody have a spring fling, and we'll talk about it.
Lovely.